While Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union were the most well-known Cold War-era jet manufacturers, Sweden quietly developed what would become Europe's most advanced fighter jet at the time. The Saab 37 Viggen was a mighty machine with a name that alluded to millennia-old Norse mythology, and it was instantly recognizable as the first canard-designed aircraft produced in large numbers. The historic aircraft could fly at high altitudes at speeds exceeding Mach 2, and from short runways, ready to serve their homeland at a moment's notice. And despite Sweden's strict neutrality policy during the Cold War, its pilots were willing to risk their lives to do the right thing if a nuclear conflict with Russia erupted, with their Viggens more than ready for battle. Saab Aerospace Company developed the Draken, an aerodynamically advanced fighter that flew for the first time in 1955 in the early 1950s. Following this accomplishment, the Swedish Air Force immediately began developing requirements for its next generation of combat aircraft. The new aircraft, which was expected to fly no earlier than the mid-1960s, was designed to be adaptable for all tactical mission roles, with an integrated weapon system that would work in tandem with Sweden's National Electronic Air Defense System, STRIL-60. The ability to operate from short runways as part of the BAS-60 airbase system was a radical requirement for the proposed aircraft. BAS-60, which was introduced in the late 1950s and developed by the Swedish Air Force during the Cold War, revolved around the forced dispersal of many aircraft across several World War II air bases, including road runways as backups. Other requirements included high maneuverability and low turbulence sensitivity in subsonic, low-level flight, Mach 2 performance at high altitudes, and the ability to be repaired and serviced easily, even by personnel with little training. Enabling so many operations put a lot of pressure on the design. As a result, previous studies examined over 100 different concepts in order to develop the best possible aircraft with single and twin-engine configurations, traditional and double delta wings, and canard installation. In 1960, President Dwight D. Eisenhower's National Security Council presented Sweden with an irresistible offer: the 37 Annex Military Technology Agreement, in which American officials promised military assistance in the event of a Soviet attack. As part of the agreement, Swedish engineers were given access to the latest aeronautical technology from the United States, and the interactions made it easier for Saab to design a faster and less expensive aircraft. The Swedish government then approved the development of Aircraft System 37 in December 1961. This was by far the largest industrial development task ever attempted in Sweden, and it was built at the height of the Cold War, when a potential Russian attack was a genuine concern. By 1962, the majority of the project's elements, including the power plant, ejector seat, arms, reconnaissance systems, training equipment, and the fighter itself, were either completed or nearing completion. In the autumn, a development contract was signed. Throughout the decade, the risky venture accounted for 10% of all Swedish research and development funding. The Saab 37 Viggen was a single-engine, short to medium-range combat aircraft with an unusually advanced aerodynamic configuration for the time, an aft-mounted double delta wing. Furthermore, the aircraft featured small, high-set delta-shaped canard foreplanes, making the Saab model the first mass-produced aircraft to feature them. While Saab had planned to power the Viggen with a single Rolls-Royce Medway engine, when its development was canceled, the aerospace company chose to license the Pratt & Whitney GTE-8D engine and create a modified version of it, the Volvo ARM 8. To help shorten the landing distance, the Saab 37's airframe included a thrust reverse feature. The thrust reverser, a one-of-a-kind invention in single-engined aircraft, could be used to taxi backward, much like a car. However, the pilot must be careful not to use the wheel brake toe pedals while backing up, as the aircraft could easily tip over. Saab engineers decided early on that the Viggen should replace the workload and performance of a second crew member with a digital central computer and a head-up display. The Central Calculator 37 computer was the world's first airborne machine to use integrated circuits, assisting the pilot with functions such as navigation, flight control, and weapon aiming calculations. The first Saab 37 took to the skies in 1967 as planned, with the company's chief test pilot Eric Dahlstrom at the controls. Dahlstrom described the new jet as simple to pilot. The Swedish government initially planned to replace all of their combat aircraft with 800 Viggens. However, a combination of inflation and various contingencies reduced the total to 329. In July 1971, the Swedish Air Force received the first Saab 37 Viggen. The Viggen was Europe's most advanced fighter jet at the time of its introduction. Conversation training for new Viggen pilots included a minimum of 450 flight hours on other models, the Viggen, and several simulators, which were seen as critical in the ease of conversion to the type. By 1974, Sweden's newest fighter had exceeded expectations in terms of safety and reliability. While the Saab 37 would never see combat, it would prove to be a safe, dependable, and simple-to-maintain aircraft. The finished product was a high-performance machine capable of reaching 1,386 miles per hour, climbing at 40,000 feet per minute, and reaching a total service ceiling of 59,000 feet. The jet was armed with a 30mm Oerlikon KTA cannon with 125 rounds, as well as 3 hardpoints under each wing and 3 under the fuselage. One of its few significant issues occurred during low-level flight, when birds repeatedly threatened the system. To counteract this, the Swedish Air Force increased its monitoring of their migratory patterns. The Swedish Air Force had 2 operation squadrons flying the Viggen at the time, with a third ready for training. Furthermore, the type came in several variations. The AG-37 ground attack version, which could carry up to 15,500 pounds of weapons load on 9 hardpoints, and the late GA-37 all-weather interceptor version were the 2 main ones. Other variants included strike fighters, aerial reconnaissance, and maritime patrol aircraft, as well as a 2-seat trainer. During the Cold War, when East-West tensions were at their peak, Viggen pilots flew 500 LIV, Quick Reaction Alert, or QRA missions per year to intercept any unidentified aircraft approaching Swedish airspace. Both Warsaw and NATO nations flew close to Swedish airspace over the Baltic Sea and near the Gulf of Bothnia. Still, the most difficult QRA targets were the U.S. Air Force's Lockheed SR-71 Blackbirds, which had a reputation for being uncatchable and capable of outrunning missiles. In June 1987, a Blackbird piloted by Lieutenant Colonels Duane Null and Tom Veltri experienced a sudden engine failure during one of these missions. One of the jet's powerful Pratt & Whitney J58-1 afterburning turbofan engines lost power while flying over the neutral waters of the Baltic Sea near Soviet territory. The crew had no choice but to descend to 25,000 feet over Swedish airspace, putting the men in danger. Suddenly, 2 pairs of Swedish Saab 37 Viggen fighter jets intercepted the Blackbird, protecting it and ensuring that no enemy fighter tried to harass it. The 4 Swedish pilots served as guardian angels for the SR-71 crew. The Soviet Air Force had a squadron of MiG-25 PD Foxbat high-speed interceptors based in East Germany at the time, which were regularly sent to intercept the Baltic Express, but to no avail. Despite this, no information about the 1987 encounter between the SR-71 and the Saab 37 Viggens was released until 3 decades later. Thank you for taking the time to watch our video. If you liked it, please like it and share it with someone else who might enjoy it. Subscribe to Warplane Evolution for more exciting historical stories. Stay tuned.